Hi, my name is Marcus. I'm with Bill Jackson's. We're gonna go ahead and load up a kayak in some J cradles, and then also a paddleboard on the other side of this Toyota Prius. So first of all, when we're using J cradles, a lot of new J cradles nowadays have a fold down feature where you can fold the J cradle down. Now a lot of people think that's just for being low profile, which is nice, but the major reason is that it allows you to load your straps up before you put your kayak in, and it doesn't make you reach around your kayak or reach way on top of your car. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by setting our straps up first before we load the kayak in. So basically you just want to take your regular cinch strap. We use cinch straps here, not ratchet straps. Ratchet straps will do all kinds of harm to plastic and fiberglass, so stay away from the cinch straps. And then we're going to lay it right on the front for the front one, and then we'll lift up our cradle and lock it in, and then we're just doing the same thing on the back. But on the back cradle, instead of obviously putting it on the front, we're going to lay our strap down on the back, as you see here. So now we have our straps ready. I already did the straps for the paddleboard on the back here. We just strapped them in, laid the back one towards the back, the front one towards the front. So we lift this one up, lock it in place. It may fall down from here, that's okay. It's just an easy way to access it from here. So from here now we have to load our kayak. So this is the Neki Vector 14, really nice recreational kayak. I'm going to use Julie here to help me lift it up into its slot. So all we're doing, Julie, is we're going to take this and we're going to flip it over so that this outer edge hits the edge of our J cradles right here. So if you're ever wondering exactly where to put the kayak, you always know that a kayak is balanced in the center of its handles. So the center of the handle is always going to be the center of the kayak. That's where it's going to be balanced out at. So you want the center of the handle in between your J cradles. So we're just a little bit behind. We're just going to pick it up and slide it over a little bit. And it's nice and in its slot. It really isn't going to fit any more snug than that. So now that we have our kayak in place, we have our straps that we set up in the front. We're going to come to the front and just wrap them down around here. Okay? So now we have our straps going through on the back side of the J cradle, and we're going right around our crossbar right here. Okay? So we go up through our crossbar, back up to our buckle. This is the top of the buckle, this is the bottom. We're going to press this button down, go through the bottom, out the top, and pull our excess strapping out. Okay? Once you have it somewhat tight, not all the way tight, you hold the opposite end of the buckle and tighten down with one hand. So right now you don't want to go like Superman tight, you just want to tighten it to keep it in its place. And we're going to go to our back strap. Just like the front. Lift it up over top of the back side. Pull it so you got your buckle all the way up here, going underneath our crossbar, and then back up to our buckle. So this is the top. We're going to press down the top button, go through the bottom, out the top. If I can grab that button, there we go. Through the bottom, out the top, pull all your excess out. Okay? So when you're tightening these down, you hold the opposite side and pull down with your other hand. So now that we got it solid in place, now you can tighten it down, give it a good snug. It doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be Superman tight. You don't want to just hang on these, but you can pull them nice and snug and tight. There's still a few more steps that we have to do. So what do you do with all this excess? A lot of people always ask me, you know, do I tie a bunch of knots? Do I wrap it around a bunch of things? What I tend to do is I bind it all up. Some straps, like the ones that we sell here at Bill Jackson's, have a little tie down point on the actual buckle so you can tie them down. What I like to do is I'll just fit it up in underneath here, up against there, and it's not really going to move from there. It also makes it a little bit tighter onto the kayak. So there's no knots, no unraveling or untying or anything like that. You just bind it all up and you can secure it on itself. These are really long straps. I think these are 20-foot straps. Normally we use about 15 foot like we will on the other side. So we're gonna fit it right in there and then snug it down. So right now we're not done with this. We still have to do a bow line, but we'll do that all together once we get our paddleboard on the other side. So I'll meet you on the other side for the paddleboard. So here we have our big wing, really great kayak, or excuse me, paddleboard. We already have our strap fixed on the other side. It's easier to do your straps, to get them in place before you put your load up there. It's always easier. So same thing like the kayak, we're just taking it around the front and then placing it up here. So some people are gonna look at this and they're gonna say, well, you have the paddleboard backwards. Yes, we put the fin on the front for a purpose. Usually there's a leash plug in the back of every paddleboard that you can use as a tie-down point for the bow line. So that's the main reason why we put it with the fin forward. Also, a lot of people really are kind of anal about having their straps flat and nice and straight. Honestly, I like having a couple twists in them when you strap it down, for the purpose of if they're flat and wind is crashing over top of your paddleboard, it makes them really gyrate and vibrate and make all kinds of noise and buzzing sounds. So if you put a couple of loops in them, or not loops, but twists in them, then you avoid a lot of that noise. So these are the same style of straps. We went underneath our crossbar here, through the bottom, out the top, while you pull down your button, hold this side, pull down on that side. Now our back side, pulling it over, couple twists. Also from here you can see on the back side of our kayak we have a nice layout of how it should look whenever you get done with the kayak. Going underneath our crossbar, back up to the buckle, press the button, through the bottom, out the top, pull the excess through, hold one side, pull on the other, snug it tight. So for this, same thing, you can bind it up. Now instead of me just putting it in its own strap, like underneath the strap, these specific straps that we have at Bill Jackson's, they actually have a spot specifically made for this. They just go right underneath this bungee right here, and the toggle pulls it tight. Nice and simple, easy way of doing it. So this whole procedure, like tying down a kayak and a paddleboard, if you haven't done it a few times or you don't have a lot of practice at it, it can be very time consuming. So all these little things that, you know, some people don't think is a big deal, but it really saves you a lot of time, especially if you've never done it before and you're trying to figure it out. These little tips and tricks make a big difference. Okay, got that in there. Now it's time to go to our bow line. So a lot of people don't think a bow line is really all that necessary. However, the bow line is probably the most important part of the puzzle. The reason why you have a bow line on the front of a paddleboard or a kayak is when you're going down the road, there's all kinds of air and wind going upward over top of the hood of your car. And all that's doing is putting a lot of pressure on the front of these boards and kayaks. So in order for a fail-safe, basically it's not that you're wrenching the kayak or the paddleboard down, you're just keeping it from going and flying up, because the higher that this comes up, the more pressure it is. And in the way that we strap this down, if you didn't have a bow line and you're going 70, 80 miles down the road, before your paddleboard breaks and before your straps fail, the roof rack a lot of times would just be ripped off the top of your car. And that's never a good thing. And I've seen too many bad things happen for people to just not do a bow line. It doesn't take that much. So right here we have what we call a hood loop. This is just some really nice string here. It's actually a small diameter rope that inside her hood, inside every hood, the chassis of the car has little tiny holes that you can actually loop these through. And all it is just a little rope that's a circle through through the little hole and then coming out the side of her hood. When she's done with this, she opens up her hood and then fits these back inside and shuts her hood, so you don't ever know they're there. But when she's hauling something, open up the hood, pull these out to the side, shut the hood, and now you have an anchor point that you can use for your bow line. So what we're gonna do is we're going from her hood loop, and we're gonna do one from each. Since she's got it in a J cradle, we're just gonna go one from this side and one from the other side. So we're going right through here. I put a little lanyard where her leash would normally go. And then what I like to do here is I'll go back up through the hook. Since this rope is really long, we could actually cut it, but I won't do it for the video purpose. But we'll go right back up through here like that. And then I'll put even another loop here to tie it down. So this is called like a trucker's hitch. Don't judge me on my knots. But this is just like a fulcrum or a tie down point that we can make it a little bit tighter with. So all we're doing is pulling it tight here. It doesn't have to be really tight. This is our fail safe for it going up, so we're not pulling a lot of pressure down. And then we hold our spot and we're doing half hitches. So all it is you're going in a circle around your knots there and then pulling up, okay? And we'll do a few more for good measure. So that's that. What you do with this excess, honestly, since we're going so short with it, I would cut it about here, and then we can do like a daisy chain or some kind of shortening knot up there. But for now, for video's sake, we'll leave this here and I'll deal with this later. So same thing on this side. So most every kayak has a handle at the end of the kayak. So this one's got one right here. That's gonna be our tie down point. Like I said before, this is not something that we're wrenching down to pull the kayak down from. That's not the whole point. The whole purpose is to keep it from lifting up. So just like we did with the paddle board, we'll go through here one more time, just to shorten things up. I'll do my little loop here in the top. This is a very useful knot that I use a lot. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm creating a loop here. You just create your loop, and you put your fingers through the loop and grab the bottom rope. Okay? So you get your loop, grab the bottom rope, hold the top and pull it tight, and it creates a loop. Whenever you're done with this, you can pull it out. Okay? And this is just a fulcrum point, just a point of pressure, I guess you can say. And we're just using that for a little bit of extra leverage. So we pull it down until we like it as tight as we want. We're not going crazy tight. We hold our point right there, and then we do half hitches. So you go around your ropes and then through and cinch up. And I always do 2 or 3 just for good measure from different directions. So we did 2 on the bottom, and I'll do 1 more on top. And that's all good. So this is the right way how to do it. This is the way we do it at Bill Jackson's. There's all kinds of different ways out there. The main point of the whole lesson here is make sure you have a bow line. This saves everything. Also, a lot of your roof racks are covered under warranty. If something crazy were to happen and you hurt the person behind you when you're driving, or if your roof rack flies off, if you have a bow line and you have it tied down how you're supposed to, like in this way, then it's all covered under insurance. That's with Yakima and Thule. So if you do it right, then you're all covered and you're good to go. Okay? Thank you.